I am very surprised I have not made this yet. Yes, Winx fans can remember the Golden Age fondly for many reasons, one of which being back then, Rainbow could actually craft a damn good finale. Usually over the course of a few episodes, we would experience rising tensions and a great build-up to a climactic battle, with a cute little denouement to finish off the season. But as the years have gone on and the writing quality of the series has dwindled, it feels like that ability to craft a satisfying finale has been lost as well. And so today, mostly for fun, because we need as much fun as we can get this year, good Jesus. We're going to be ranking all the finale episodes of Winx Club. What counts as a finale episode will change depending on how that season's build up towards the climax is structured, as it can vary from the last 8 episodes of a season to literally just one episode trying to wrap everything up in a rush. Now, we're gonna be excluding the spin-off World of Winx series just to make this easier for my sanity. So without further ado, let us begin. Season 6 as a whole is a mess. By far, it is the weakest season in terms of everything. Either the season has no plot and is just doing whatever it wants with no direction, or we're on an arbitrary fetch quest for some meaningless MacGuffin like an emerald or a staff or a key. Can the key lock this season in a vault far, far away from me? Once the Winx forged the Legendarium key, an item which is needed to permanently lock the Legendarium to, keep the Tricks from using it to wreak havoc, and more importantly to keep Acheron from breaking free, the Tricks decide to turn Cloud Tower invisible, so the Winx can't find them. Oh, you remember when Cloud Tower was like invisible in season 3 for 5 minutes? And it was kind of redundant there? Yeah, it's worse here. And then we decide to visit Solaria for some godforsaken reason, make an anti-invisibility device with a stupidly long name, and then just get the key stolen by Rumpelstiltskin. After finding the key, the season loses any idea of how to drag its story out until episode 26, so the Winx just kind of wander the magical universe aimlessly looking for something to do, or wait for the Tricks to attack them and begin the plot. This destroys any sort of threat that the Tricks and Selena may have posed by eliminating the sense of urgency to lock the book, and also steals agency from the Winx, and it's made even less urgent when Daphne and Thorin decide to get married. Sure, it's not like we have perfectly capable villains on the loose actively trying to kill us all now that we've lost our only way to stop them. I know I'm gonna get callouts for my season 5 rewrite. Look, I made it very clear that those villains are losers. And also I made it clear this was a poor choice on everyone's behalf. Episode 25 is jam-packed with wedding filler until Acheron is freed, and I will admit his entrance is cool and I love his design. Oh, and this little moment from Icy is just perfectly memeable.
No one double-crosses the Tricks.
Flashback.
I thought we were more to you than just a cog in your evil machine.
You thought wrong, and now into the void.
Later, in the void.
You are nothing.
End of flashback.
And I do dig Cloud Tower falling out of the sky, but then having some random lizard spirit be summoned feels just like, what world are we in? Like, yeah, Bloom fought these things back in the Vortex of Flames, but like, we never got a clue to the fact that, this was gonna be plot relevant again, just beyond being some random monster for Bloom to fight. And also, what does the spirit have to do with Cloud Tower? Like, why is he here? What? I thought Cloud Tower had a heart, and it was its own thing. Is that still a thing in the Nick camp? Because they skipped that in the horrible 4th spout. What's going on? What then follows is a lackluster battle between Bloom and Acheron where they're both just slow as molasses. And Bloom manages to defeat Acheron by stuffing him into the dollar store Agador box. Yes, we're calling it that because that's literally what it is. An ugly box which Eldora just randomly gifted us earlier this episode. Convenient. Acheron is defeated within like 15 minutes of his grand entrance, making him the least effective villain the series has ever had. Hell, Kalshara was more intimidating than this. And then the rest of the finale is just Bloom fighting the Tricks, even though she could literally just leave at any moment before she's trapped here. Like, girl, just leave. Just leave. They won't be able to follow you. Just leave. Just leave. Oh, you lost your watch. Oh, great. Well, fine. Fine, get stuck here, bitch. I don't care. Goodbye. Roxy can take your place. No one will care. And not to mention all the nostalgia bait. Cue a sequence of Bloom reminiscing about her friends, using the love she has for them to empower herself. A moment that should be emotional for older fans, given this whole season is predicated on nostalgia, celebrating the franchise's anniversary, but the surrounding story renders all of it completely hollow. And it's made even more shallow given any flashbacks to the events of the first 2 seasons aren't even from those seasons, but rather the 1-hour Nick specials. They don't care. This is officially super shallow. Season 6's finale at least fits how lackluster and poorly structured the rest of the season is, and as such, it remains, in my book, the worst finale the show has ever had. A perfect ending to Winx Club's worst season to date. Season 8 has received a lot of criticism, though I would argue it's actually not as bad as people make it out to be. In fact, as much as I loathe the Prime Star hunt as another MacGuffin chase, it at least tries to be interesting and well-structured, unlike the dumb fetch quests of Season 6. Even the penultimate episodes prove incredibly interesting, focusing on Icy's backstory as the Princess of Diamond who lost her world to the Queen Beryl knockoff shamaness. I especially love the bond between her and Sapphire as she desperately tries to find a way to bring her sister back to her human form. But then, episode 26 is a train wreck. The Tricks basically now hold the key to taking all the Prime Stars from both the Winx and Valtor, and because of this, Valtor becomes even less interesting than before. If that was somehow even possible. Then there's this weird angle of him wanting to release the monsters of the Dark Dimension? I'm sorry, the what now? Is this Obsidian? Or Limbo? What is going on? I thought he just wanted to become the most powerful sorcerer in the universe. Now he just wants an army of demons? What's happening? Valtor's bland writing and inconsistency really just contribute to him overstaying his welcome. The whole episode is built around defeating him yet again, when I'm pretty sure we're all just sick of having to put up with him. The only highlights are the design of his new monster form, and the Tricks actually helping the Winx to defeat him. Other than that, it's left on an open note that is completely unsatisfying. The only characters who feel like they've actually had to change as people this season are the Tricks, but that does not make up for the lackluster anticlimactic bullshit of this finale. Like Season 6, Season 7 was a mess in terms of plot and structure. Yet somehow the absence of any kind of plot somehow made Season 7 more bearable, at least to me. And surprisingly, its finale had a much stronger structure. From episode 22 onwards, we go from discovering the ultimate power of fairy animals, to Kalshara snatching it, to the return of the Tricks, in which everyone's least favorite trio of witches actually comes across as competent and threatening for like the first time in years. Like, holy crap, they actually managed to make the Tricks actually a threat. Partially because they've been absent since the Season 6 finale. And also because, let's be real, their fairy animals are just amazing. My personal favorite is Stormy's giant thunder owl Ocula, because just look at this thing's design. I don't know where they got the idea for this thing from, but it was genius. And we get a full-on siege of Althea, with Roxy and the other students actually fighting back like the good old days defending their school, while the Winx are on their own mission. All of this actually kinda makes for a compelling few final episodes, and all of it culminates in the reveal of the Tricks fusing with their fairy animals, which is a criminal move because their badass designs got no real time to shine with their new powers. I mean, the fairy animals are the best part of the whole season, especially the bonds between the Winx and their fairy animals, which makes saying goodbye to them a very bittersweet ending to this season. Though it is kinda killed by, the swan.
I am the Infinity Swan.
What even is this thing? No foreshadowing, no mentioning of this swan in any kind of fairy animal lore. The fairy animals just combine their powers and this thing just shows up. And the Winx animals are just gone forever. And yes, this is enough to tank the finale as a whole. It's fine enough for a very dull season, but it just does not hold a candle to the finales higher up on this list. And even the siege I mentioned, yeah, it's compelling, but it's only because it's basically scraps, given that we've been getting nothing for the last few seasons. after having to slog through seasons 6 through 8, season 5 actually becomes a whole lot better. Suddenly, this average story becomes refreshing. And the same goes for its finale episodes, quite honestly. As predictable as the seals of the Pillars of the Infinite Ocean plot got, I still kind of enjoyed it. Especially the Winx's idea to destroy the last seal before Tritanus could take it. I enjoyed seeing how desperate it made Tritanus in the last few episodes, and his plot to use Aisha's Cyrenix powers to activate the throne was actually a neat twist. I do have one major gripe with this that kind of destroys it all, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The huge battle at the Pillar of Light and the ensuing battle on Andros with the massive army of mutants provides the finale with enough stakes to keep the story engaging, and I love the little moment of Darcy and Stormy coming to Icy's rescue, and the Trix's moment to fight together before, getting yeeted from the Infinite Ocean. Now, my big problem with this finale is the fact that Bloom is the one to defeat Tritanus. This villain has been personal to Aisha for the whole season, for being her cousin, and for trying to destroy their family. And all this after she just experienced losing Naboo. If anyone should have been given the chance to defeat Tritanus alone, or alongside Nereus, it should have been Aisha. It could have even turned into a moment where she's tempted to kill him, but she decides not to because that's not who she is. And it would make more sense for Tritanus to activate the throne with Bloom's Cyrenix and Dragonflame. It feels like we're just cheating Aisha out of her big moment to give Bloom more attention that she did not deserve. Or need. That said, I do really dig Tritanus being unapologetic after his defeat. Him being sent to Oblivion still feels weird given, we don't really have hard and fast rules about which criminals go to which horrifying extra-dimensional hell prisons. But this moment from Tritanus almost redeemed how annoying he was for most of this season. Almost. If we're all gonna be honest, Season 3 is still the best season to date in terms of writing and structure. The plot hits the ground running, Valtor is a fan-favorite villain who makes things personal for the Winx, at least in this season, and the Winx are putting all their lives on the line to gain Enchantix and become full-fledged guardian fairies. Yet for all that, the finale kinda leaves a lot to be desired. After the finales of seasons 1 and 2, where the battles took place over the course of several episodes with plenty of build-up, it can feel jarring to have the third season wrap up Valtor's story in 2 separate incidents in the last 2 episodes. Yet, that's also a bit unfair, as Valtor as a villain is essentially making a desperate last stand, which fits him far better than either the Trix in season 1 or Darkar in season 2. It works well to show how scornful and aggressive he can be when he believes that he's cornered. Really, Season 3's finale is a better version of Season 5's, with Tritanus essentially serving as a discount Valtor, trying to destroy the Winx in one fell swoop. So, because this fits Valtor's story rather well, along with the Spell of the Elements doing a pretty solid job on escalating the dangers facing Magix in episode 25, and then serving as personalized enemies in episode 26 for the Winx, Season 3's finale is good. Not great, but it does its job, and it does it well. Season 4. Oh, Season 4. It's still my personal favorite season, but I have to admit that it has a lot more problems than I remember. Of the original 4 seasons, it's probably the weakest. But that said, one thing I still adore is the plot from episode 17 onwards regarding the Fairies of Vengeance. The fact the Winx are up against Queen Morgana and the major fairies of Earth essentially means they're in a war against the people they've been trying to save for the season's last 9 episodes, who are far more of a threat than the confident Black Circle in the season's first half. It also adds dimension in a battle of ideologies, emphasizing the difference between pursuing justice versus vengeance. And then you get the darker storyline with the final gift of destiny, foreshadowing that one of their own is going to die and they might not be able to save them, all to come to a head as the Black Circle, having lied about their repentance, makes a last stand to try and kill all the fairies at the Day of Justice, where Naboo has to sacrifice himself to save them all. Now, Naboo's death carries a lot of issues in terms of representation, namely the fact he's black and Indian coded, the only major male character to be either, and he's the one that they chose to have die, especially considering we just met him last season. They did this specifically because Aisha was now engaged to Naboo, but it winds up with terrible implications that people of color specifically are just doomed to lose their loved ones or die when they're at their happiest, and they just don't get happy endings. Intended or not, that's kind of the implicit message. Having one of the other guys died would have carried much more impact and erase all the bad racial implications. Hell, imagine if Sky was the one to die. Bloom was the one who had to fight Nebula to prove that vengeance wasn't the right course of action, so imagine if she joined the Fairies of Vengeance to avenge Sky, and the other Winx had to make her come to her senses. Roxy, the protege, ends up saving her mentor Bloom from herself. So much stronger, and so much less... yeah. And also arguably hits harder, considering we've known Sky from day one. With all that said, the structure here is great, and had Rainbow avoided that problem, it could have gone down as the best finale of the series. Specifically, I love that episode 26 almost entirely serves as a denouement, with the Winx wrapping up loose ends, and deciding what to do now that their mission on Earth is technically over. It is a strong send-off to the series, and one that probably would have been higher up on this list, had it not done what it did to Naboo and Aisha. Can we all just agree that season 2 is like the most underrated season of the show? Whenever people talk about their favorite season, no one says 2, which is a shame, because this season I feel is what stepped up the show's writing from solid to pretty damn good. Specifically in the fact that all the characters besides Bloom get to shine. I mean, who could forget the episode dedicated to Musa's mother and her strained relationship with her father? Or the mission to Heraklion with the discount anime heroes in the, Yoshinoya? Yeah, he could have done more. Moving on from that, we get to explore Flora's adorable crush on Helia as she grows more confident in herself, and Techno's journey to learn to be more vulnerable and be more upfront about her feelings with Timmy. Everyone's got some kind of story going on, and this is made even better for the Winx with these arcs, resulting in them getting their Charmix power-ups. But Aisha, the new member of the group, somehow wound up becoming the best-written character and most compelling of the group real damn quick. Her story of overcoming her loneliness from her rigidly structured childhood and her becoming more and more comfortable in the Winx Club makes her by far and away the most relatable and interesting of any of the Winx. No shade on Musa, but damn, Aisha's story is great. That's probably why she and Musa are besties. Sonic Wave for life. Even Bloom gets a bit more interesting as she tries to learn about her birth family, and we see her and Sky's relationship strain a bit since they've just started dating, and Avalon is low-key stringing Bloom along, trying to gain her trust. It's honestly kinda amazing seeing these two get frustrated with each other's bullshit because, one, it proves neither of them are the perfect people season 1 kinda accidentally made them seem to be, and two, it makes their conversations with each other and Sky's speech about how much he loves Bloom in the finale all the sweeter. They truly love each other, flaws and all. Like, yeah, Bloom's Charmix is kinda bullshit, but this more than makes up for it. I mention all this because it makes the setup for the finale all the better. Bloom's misplaced trust in Avalon results in her being kidnapped and being turned into everyone's favorite non-character Dark Bloom. Just kidding, I love Dark Bloom, I just wish she got to do more. And everyone else has to step in to save her. That is right. Literally everyone but Bloom is now center stage, each getting their moments to kick ass in order to save the girl everyone mistakenly called the Mary Sue. Season 2, I salute you. Oh, plus it also gave us the Tricks fusing into a nightmare monster to kick Darkar's ass after he tried to kill them. This is like the last time I legitimately respected the Tricks as anyone's minions, and I stan. Okay, yeah, I did drag season 1 a bit, but it's still compelling in its own right, especially from episode 18 onward. I mean, really, episode 13 onwards starts escalating Bloom's struggle to learn who she is and amplifies her trust issues until she gets her powers stolen, which kinda shows just how good season 1 really is in its second half. The Army of Darkness, or as I prefer to call them, the Army of Decay, because it's one of those times the 4Kids terminology is superior, are by far and away the best tool for setting up a climax I have seen from this show. The fact that the Tricks, now with the stolen Dragon Flame, are able to control an infinite army of horrific rot abominations and use that to essentially lay siege to an entire planet, control one of the 3 major magic colleges, and fucking trap all of Magic City's residents in... well, let's be real, they all look like rotting corpses. I love all of this. Season 1's last 8 episodes do an amazing job building up a dreadful and intense atmosphere as a literal war is raging. Not to mention, this is the only real time in the show the Tricks are truly competent villains of their own with clear goals. The first season actually did a great job setting them up as your typical mean girl antagonists, and then pulling a huge fake out when you learn that in reality, they're basically cultists descended from the 3 witches who ruined all of our lives. And their goal is conquest and the annihilation of anyone who opposes them, full stop. I think what also really sells this is the fact that the Tricks have clearly become drunk on power. They're becoming deranged and arrogant, relying on their army to do most of the work for them, but still being ruthless enough to where everyone legitimately fears what they might do next. Even the professors are unnerved by the Tricks' ambitions. And the last episode? Holy fuck. Season 1 still has the best fights of the show, but that last episode really delivers even after all these years. Neither the Winx nor the Tricks have put their powers on full display in this way ever since, which is a shame because do you see this? Do you see how anime this fight is? Do you see how much ass Bloom is kicking? God, I wish she had this kind of power in her Enchantix form. And when that's all done, we get a wholesome party to celebrate the end of this long nightmare at Althea, including the professors getting shit-faced because they can finally relax. It is so satisfying after such a grueling war, includes some nice character moments, one of which being Myrta deciding to study at Althea and Flora welcoming her with open arms, and a really cute talk between Bloom and Sky at the very end. In terms of finales, Season 1 reigns supreme very easily. When you really boil it all down, the show's older finales were fire. Sure, Season 3's was a bit of a bust, and 4's is tainted with really problematic implications regarding Naboo and Aisha, but I think it's a shame we haven't seen a truly epic, cathartic finale since Seasons 1 and 2. Nothing has come close to matching their incredible scope and emotion. And that kinda goes hand in hand with the show's writing quality. A finale can only be as good as a season's general story, and we all know what the show has been like from Season 5 onward. Anyways, if you enjoyed this and would like to see more content like this from me, then be sure to not only subscribe, but also to ring that bell for notifications because YouTube hates creators. Also, please consider, if you are willing and able, pledging your support for myself and the channel over on Patreon. All patrons, $1 and up, will have access to the private Union of War Discord server, as well as early access to full video scripts and videos before they go public. I'm the Unicorn of War, and fuck Season 6.